What I want to talk about today is the habit that absolutely changed my life. And the thing is, there's so many different budgeting apps, spreadsheets, you name it out there, and they're all cool. They all have a different job, but the truth is, if you don't use them, it doesn't matter which one you choose, it's not going to make a difference. And so today I want to go through a little bit of how I got started. And that's why my desk looks so messy. Is this shows September of 2022 when I first moved in with my husband here in our double wide. I started tracking more consistently. I have another notebook when I was single and I would track in that too. The difference is with that one, I think I threw it away actually when we moved. I'm not sure where it ended up, but I have all of our records since we got married. And so I had just a plain notebook that I got at Walmart. And then in 2023, I tried one of these with the planner. And that kind of sparked my interest in trying to find something else that worked. I found out I don't like the columns. If you are someone that likes the up and down column planners, let me know. I don't know, they're just too narrow. Maybe I just write too big. But that was in 2023. And then after that, I have 2024. I started just using pencil because I made a lot of mistakes and changes apparently. But then in 2025, I went back to having it a little more fun in September. And so what's cool about that is I can compare year to year what my spending trend is. If inflation is causing it, if it's my choices that's causing it. And so keeping track year after year is so important. Now I am trying to get better and create a system where it works in conjunction with a planner. This is just a sample I've been working on where it has a regular calendar included and then the dates. If you prefer something more like this where it has the check marks, let me know. I did this just on a print demand. It's actually like photo paper, so it's not the funnest to write on. So I am trying to create something that's more user friendly. Because the thing is, if you don't have it with you, you're not going to use it. Where people tend to, if they buy a planner, they'll use it. And so having the finance tracking within the planner is a complete game changer. And so that's where I designed this one. And so as you're spending, it's nice to be able to write down your purchase as you go. With that being said, sometimes you get in a hurry, life gets busy. For some reason, May was just horrible for me, like absolutely horrible. And so I did a really poor job of tracking ahead of time. And so what's nice though is on my phone, I have my bank statement. So I am going to go ahead and pull up my bank statement and transfer just everything that I purchased. I'm just going to categorize it here where I have business, income, food, fuel, bills. And I have a blank column, usually reserved for like shopping, ranch purchases, something that's kind of different. But I think everyone can identify with having to buy groceries and eating out, fuel for gas for your vehicle, or else diesel for my pickup. And I'll go into detail about how I differ them here in just a minute. And then bills. They're monthly occurrences, but they still need to be tracked. And it's really important to make sure that you aren't like me and accidentally double paid for my car payment last month. So instead of it only being $600, I ended up putting $1,200 towards it, which is fine. There's worse mistakes to do. But I was like, why did I spend so much this month? And then I realized what I did. So that's why having a tracker here is so important. And then I want to show you the coolest tool that I created is the spreadsheet. And so what's different is if you're looking at a planner like this with the expenses in it, to me it's just really cumbersome. It's hard. And so here it has the income, different categories on the back of it actually. And this is where I hate thin paper. You can see through it when you write in pen. But here they had the different categories and it was just really clunky, or else they have it categorized where you have to choose the category and keep a track of it as you go through it. Whereas the one that I'm using is my categories are up on top already, so it keeps it more organized with the date, location of the purchase, as well as the price. And then I just color coordinate based off the week. So the first week of May was supposed to be black, then usually it's blue, green, then red, and I like to color coordinate it like that. However, with the crazy May I had, I only did week 1. So we're going to get caught up on weeks 2, 3, and then 4. And then the cool thing is, in June, I'm going to stay on track every single day, but I'm going to do the daily tracking in my notebook, which will be on all my social media pages for like the short reels that they have. And so here I just have 4 categories, which I'm just going to do food, fuel, bills, shopping is kind of my intention here. And yeah, this is permanent marker, and it's cool though because you can't see it on the other side. And on my notebooks, it's leather covered, and then they have inspirational sayings on the bottom, where this one says, fuel yourself up, it's okay to reroute, is on the other side. And so that's where my notebooks are a little unique. And then it has a gold ribbon bookmarker, so that way I don't lose where my finance page is in the middle. And so you just keep that folded like that. But this is one cover. This is the other option that I use for when I track my rides and what I'm working on with my horses, which is 1 ride at a time. But my habit that I'm so passionate about is just tracking everything. Absolutely everything, from finance to fitness to faith, you name it, I like to track it. So come along on the backside, hop in my computer, and I'm going to show you how I type everything into my spreadsheet and what makes mine so cool. But it's the habit that's going to make a difference, not the tool you choose. All right, let's hop into my computer. Now that I have everything written down and updated in my notebook how it should have been before I ever started my monthly finances, I am ready to now type all of this information into my spreadsheet. And this is so important because I don't like to do math. I don't want to use a calculator. And so my spreadsheet does it for me. So stick with me and I'll go fill this in real quick. Sorry if my video and my audio isn't as good right now. I'm using my old HP, but I wanted to show you what's really cool about this spreadsheet that I created. And so here on the bottom, I have my debts listed, the amounts, payment information, all right there where my face is covering it. And then scrolling up, I've been playing around with different sinking funds. I'll have a video later on that goes more in depth, but essentially you can choose what you want to save for, whether it be emergencies, my barn, maybe for you it's insurance. Whatever the case is, you can also put long-term goals here. Like for me, it's my kitchen. Someday I do want to update my kitchen, and so I have that in here. I have a goal date of when I want it done. The initial amount is 0. My contributions currently are 0, and the availability is also 0. Except for my emergencies and also my sinking barn payment, because that barn payment is only due every December. So I put in a savings account hoping that I end up with enough for that payment. I'll show you when we get to the monthly view where you can put contributions for these. Where my face is currently covering up is the different categories that we have available. That's based off of the categories you select, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But the other thing that's super cool about this that most other spreadsheets won't include is a current snapshot. As of January, February, March, April, May, the whole months, you can see how much money you had available. And so TSB and TIA are my retirement accounts, and so those ones aren't readily available or as easily available. Whereas all my other accounts, I'm able to see what's in there at the end of each month to know what I have available to spend. And the reason why that's so important is because if you look up above my head, I am currently $18,000 in the hole so far for 2026. And then if I go up to the top, it'll kind of explain why. And so within here, I have my total amount spent and my savings. And looking in the notes section over on the other side, you see that I bought notebooks. And so my inventory was about $12,000. And so I'm hoping people will buy these notebooks. And so that way I at least break even. That is my goal. I really love them. I showed them a little earlier, so I won't go too much into that. But they're at rodeostrategy.com. Along with this, I'll have it linked below. Uh, if you budget, let me know what you use. Do you prefer this spreadsheet method, or are you a paper tracker? So let me know in the comments below if you budget, and if so, which one you prefer. But this is where it gets cool. And so here I can change the titles of these different columns. So instead of it saying income, let's go to June and I'll show you where it says income. So right here next to me, it says income. And if I go back to the overview and I change income to say job, and I go back into June, because that's the month we're in now already. It's June 1st. Hard to believe. Right here it says job. And so it updated that quickly across all the spreadsheets. And so if I go back in here and I change it back to income, I like it in all caps, then I can go into June and see that. So that's what I really like about it. I like the different categories. So if you do run a business, you can keep track of your business expenses. I also combine it with rodeo, so it kind of gets confusing there. But if you're someone that maybe just drives a lot and you want to separate your vehicles out and you don't necessarily have a business, you could replace that. Or maybe your ranching or rodeo are one in the same. You can also change it that way too. Then I like to separate out my groceries from my eating out, and it really shows you where I overspent. So if you're looking at groceries, I don't know what happened in January. I spent it over $700. And so if I go into January, I can see apparently we ate a lot during Christmas break, and I had to replenish all of my pantry and the freezer. I think what happened was I got half a hog. So it really made my grocery bill a lot higher. I could go double check by clicking in the January one. And then eating out, you can see I did a lot better in May than previously. And then fuel, last month in April, I spent a lot more because I was hauling my horses, where in May, I didn't really go anywhere. And my husband bought a bulk tank of gas just because with the crazy prices, we were able to just fuel up at home for a cheaper amount than the markup that they have in town. And so this is how I categorize it. You can change all of these headings that you want. That's what makes it super cool. And then when we jump into April, I'll just show you I ended up being underwater by 1,191. And so here is a diagram in the middle of how much I spent in each category. If I would have had money left over, I could have taken that savings and distributed them here. And so that's what we're going to do in May, because May, I had a good month. Remember, I'm still underwater by 18,000 for the year. But in May, I have $4,851 currently in my account. Now, the big thing is I'm a teacher, so I don't get paid June, July, or August because our first paycheck doesn't come in until September from teaching. And so what looks good is actually more apt to be spent this summer. But I do like to put $1,000 in to my emergency account just in case. My barn payment is due in December, so I'm going to make sure I put at least $2,000 away for that. And then, to be honest, that other $1,851 will probably get spent in June. So that's why I'm hoping these YouTube videos really help my business. And so if you like this spreadsheet or the notebooks, you can get them at rodeostrategy.com. But this is the total of the allocations. And when I go back to the overview and I scroll down, it will tell me that I now have $3,000 allocated, there we go, to the barn, and $2,100 for savings in my emergency fund. So that's what's cool about this spreadsheet. I hope you like it. And if you have any questions or concerns or things you would change, let me know. And like always, give Jesus the reins. See you next time.